I did a little run through your consultation form. You got a little guy, right? A Shih Tzu.
Hmm.
And then I was confused because you put behavior non-human aggressive, but then on the description you put human aggression. So,
Oh, did I mess that up? So yeah, he has dog aggression and then he
okay,
has people aggression. So
okay,
he won't let other people pet him.
okay,
And we moved downtown, so we're in like a tight knit community, and we have elevators and stuff, and the problem is there's so many dogs downtown Chicago, and it's hard trying to get him on the elevator, and then 1,000 dogs are jumping in and off and he wants to attack them.
okay. Um,
And so
no, keep going.
yeah, so we were just trying to see what we can do to get him to be less aggressive when other dogs come his way, because I would like to put him in like doggy daycare and eventually get like a doggy babysitter for him, just so he has more interaction with dogs, because sometimes you see him wanting to go, like he wants to play with other dogs, and then
Mhm.
other times he's just snapping when he sees them. And it gets a little scary because I want him to have fun. I want him to be with other dogs, but it's stressful for us as well because we're always like trying to like pull him away and carry him to make sure that he's not attacking other dogs and people as well. We have tons of people coming into my apartment all the time, and we always have to tell them, don't look at him, don't talk to him, don't even pet him, and he'll ignore them if they don't do any of that, but if they try to pet him, he will bite them.
Okay. Um, how old is he?
He is 6 years old, going on 7 years old.
Excuse me.
Oh, here's the little guy right here.
Okay.
He's a little one, but he's
So six.
feisty.
Oh, cool. And then he's been like this for how long?
I mean, he's always been a feisty one, I will say that, but it's definitely
Okay.
well, he's pretty much always been like this with people interaction.
Okay. Always with people. And then the dog reactivity stuff. Like when would you say that started?
Um, I it's hard to say because it's like some dogs he won't be aggressive toward. Like he'll just play with them. Like he has an older sister and my boyfriend has
Okay.
a dog. He just gets along with them. But it's like other dogs, it's like just based off that first encounter, he just wants to like go after them.
Okay. Lex, get down. Sorry, my dogs are in my office. So,
Oh, you're fine.
okay. Anything else?
No, that was basically it. Like I want to be able to like walk him and have him play with other dogs and not be so stressed. And then obviously I want people to be able to like pet him as they come in so he's not like being aggressive. And then down the line I would like to not have him on a leash so I could take him to parks and stuff and have him in the open. But I know that takes a while to get training for that. So little baby steps first.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So, the dog reactivity stuff is the easiest thing to address.
Hmm.
Okay. That's, when you're walking with him on the leash, whether he sees a dog in an elevator, in the hallway, or out in public, that's the easiest thing to resolve. Okay. The aggression or the defensiveness with people trying to make contact with him is a bit different. Okay. So it sounds like he has territorial reactivity, which is normal. Territorial behavior is normal with dogs. Most dogs, they bark when they hear a knock. So that's the alert response. Hey, somebody is here. But if the dog likes people, when you open the door and they see it's a person, like they kind of like just wiggle, right?
Hmm.
So they go from territorial mode into like people mode, and then there's like no tension. In some cases, the dog can become suspicious and stay suspicious, which can then lead to defensive behavior if the person tries to make contact with them. Okay. So the tricky part about that is we can't make your dog like being touched.
Hmm.
Okay? Now, we have exercises that we do to help socialize your dog, and the people that we would care about the most are the people that come over. Okay. Your friends, your family, people that he would see on a recurring basis. That's much more realistic. But ultimately, if he's like, I have my small circle of people that I allow to touch me, and everybody else is out of that circle, that's technically okay.
Hmm.
Uh, what we would at minimum want is that he just leaves people alone, right? And you said like if they ignore them, if they ignore him, he would ignore them once he
Mhm.
settles, right?
Yeah.
So that's technically healthy. So it's kind of like, there's this unrealistic kind of a thought process around dogs that dogs need to love everyone and everything, and that's not true because it's unrealistic. Um, as an animal, your dog has rules and boundaries, things he likes and things he doesn't like, just like we do, right? So just like with humans, like I wouldn't want to have someone just come into my home that I just met and all of a sudden they start trying to touch me, right? We would have those boundaries, but as a human, we can say like, "Hey, I don't appreciate this. Give me some space," right? And we can
Mhm.
communicate that verbally. Dogs, however, do not. He growls. He might show his teeth, nip and or bite, essentially to tell the person like what you're doing right now is not welcomed, right?
Mhm.
Now, if that person is not respecting those boundaries and he like curls his lips and he growls and they keep trying to pet him, he's giving them plenty of opportunity to avoid the nip or bite. Okay.
Mhm.
So if they keep making contact with them, I would say like, yeah, it'd be like with the person. If somebody's trying to touch me, I'm like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And they don't respect that, then things may escalate.
Mhm.
Okay. So when it comes to like people making contact with him or petting him, that's a totally different thing. uh, the main thing we always push for is coexistence. Okay. So if I have a dog that's very reactive, I don't care if they're social or not. I just care that they're not lunging and barking at dogs as the owner walks with them. Okay. Making things easier. Now, can we help you socialize your dog? Yes. And it sounds like your dog is capable of being social because you said sometimes he just warms up and he plays with dogs, right?
Mhm.
So then we got to figure out if there's any kind of consistency. So if it's like, oh yeah, like if it's a female and they're like his size and they're like a calm to medium energy, like he warms up to him no problem. So we have this kind of information. We know like, okay, like if we have this type of dog, more than likely going to be fine, right?
Mhm.
How do we get him to warm up to other dogs? And then like I show you how to do that, or we show you how to do that, and it's something that you would repeat. And it's not really teaching your dog how to be a good dog with other dogs. It's us teaching you how to correctly and appropriately introduce your dog to another dog, even if it's a dog that he typically doesn't like, and how do we build a relationship between those two dogs?
Mhm.
Okay, so it's your dog is normal. Okay, he just has behaviors that are not acceptable in our world.
Mhm.
Okay, so the dog reactivity, again, easiest thing to address. How to socialize him with another dog, easy to teach, takes time because you would have to repeat it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like we work with the dog and like fix the problem and then he's forever a good dog. Okay,
Mhm.
it's if you were to do something incorrectly, or if you were to introduce him to a personality type that is completely like not on the same wavelength as him,
Mhm.
I would expect to see tension. Is it possible to work through? Yes, but it just depends on whether or not you're wanting to, keep repeating the exercise. And also, is he does he ever decide like, you know what, like even though I didn't like you in the beginning, I've met you 20 times, you're fine, right? So, because people usually judge things by the first get go when it comes or when it comes to dogs, they're like, oh, it didn't go well the first time, right? And then they're like, that's it. And I go, no, you got to keep repeating the process. And then on the 20th time or 100th time or however many times you try, if your dog is consistently not having it, then I would say yes, like your dog does not like it. Okay. When it comes to the door reactivity and barking at people coming inside the home, that's actually pretty standard. It's not a uncommon thing. It's pretty straightforward to address. The most complicated thing is again just if he is human aggressive, um, is correcting the behavior and then building trust between him and whoever the guest is. So
Yeah.
like let's say you have a new friend come over he's never met before, and he's being really defensive and aggressive, correcting that behavior to teach him like this is not how you behave around guests. But then also teaching you like this is how you would correctly socialize them with that guest. Because people usually think baby talking or trying to pet the dog, I don't know, pet the dog, uh, or giving them treats, like that's how you get dogs to like us. And in some cases, it can work. A lot of times, it doesn't when you have a case like yours. Okay,
Mhm.
um, and it has nothing to do, you know, has nothing to do with with him being I don't know how to describe it, like like he's not screwed up. He
Yeah,
just
it's not terrible. It's just little
exactly like
things. Yeah.
because people think like, oh, like the dog's like got a screw loose. I'm like, no, I'm like your dog has boundaries. These are normal behaviors with dogs. Um, and just because somebody gives me $100 every time I see a tarantula, that's not going to make me like a tarantula.
Hmm.
you know so some dogs it works, some dogs it doesn't, and we do incorporate food when it comes to socializing for sure. Like it does, it can help. It doesn't always help. It's just how that works. When it comes to the training, like the obedience stuff, like the off leash training, that's actually easy too.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, you have to do your work and you have to do your homework. But it would, because we do remote collar training. Okay,
Hmm.
are you familiar with e-collar?
Yes.
Do you know what it is?
It's like you use like the prong set one, like the electrodes or the beeping and everything.
Okay. And do you know what the sensation is that is delivered?
Yeah, I've actually bought him one. It's not like the ones you guys use, and I've tested it on myself just to
Hmm.
see what it felt like. So yeah, there's like different settings and everything. You could feel like the different electricity currents and stuff. It feels kind of
Okay.
like a little like, nick in the neck, I guess you would say for them, like a little
Sure.
pressure point.
Yeah. So do you know what the brand of your collar is?
I got it from Amazon.
It was like $80.
No, oh my God, no, it was like 40.
Okay. Yeah. So how long ago did you get that?
I got it about a month and a half ago, and he actually responded pretty well to it. Um,
Hmm.
so we stopped using it. But he did get used to it, and he was like, "Okay, I hear it beeping, so I know I can't do that."
Hmm.
But it probably with a better one, he'd be more like, "Oh my God, I got to do this now."
Right. So the issue with like the $40 Amazon collars are they crap out after a few months, if not within the month, if you're using it regularly. And the way it's delivered when you get into the higher settings is can be a bit abrasive.
Mhm.
Um, the professional grade e-collars that we use are simply muscle stimulators. Okay. So have you ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor?
I have not.
You have not. Have you ever seen the videos where they recreate labor contraction pains in men?
Yes.
Okay. So those that machine that they're using to recreate those contractions is called a TENS unit. Okay. And they use it a lot in like sports rehabilitation therapy. They use a lot for like easing or relaxing back muscles or back pain.
Mhm.
So they put like these circles on your skin, but
Mhm.
they have wires, and it hits a slight current that like just moves the muscles that it's making contact with. Okay. So then it's just stimulating the muscle. They use it to break up scar tissue on muscles as well. So it's used a lot in like the medicinal world, and it's just a muscle contraction. So a professional level e-collar is the same technology essentially.
Mhm.
Okay, it's a muscle stimulator. So if you have it placed on your dog's neck, you would see your dog's neck start to twitch like this.
Mhm.
So it's contracting the muscle, and that's the sensation they're feeling. They're not being electrocuted. A lot of people think e-collars are like shock or electricity, like they're electrocuting their dog, which is incorrect.
Mhm.
It's simply a muscle stimulator. So what we do with this is our collar has 127 levels in increments of one. It allows us to really fine tune the collar to the dog. Okay. So like my Chihuahua is trained on an e-collar and he's 8 pounds. Okay.
Mhm.
Now his e-collar is a low output e-collar. It's a little baby one. It's meant for dogs under 25 pounds. So his number out of 100 is 20.
Mhm.
Okay. But anything more than 20 is too much. And anything under 20 for him is usually too low. If I put that on my pit, she wouldn't even feel it. She's like, what is this mosquito biting me? Okay, low output. So they have different models to different personality types or different sizes. And it's all the same thing. It's just the output or the strength of the contraction changes according to the model of the collar. Okay. When it comes to your particular case, the way I approach things is, or we approach things is, we only teach what you're needing and wanting essentially. Okay, we always focus on that first, and then we can focus on the other stuff. Okay, if you want more stuff. So when it comes to length of time and cost for the for just like a real kind of bare bones basic, we want to resolve dog reactivity, learning how to socialize your dog correctly. The door reactivity is fairly simple, and getting them to warm up to people is again the most complicated thing.
Mhm.
Okay, it's complicated, but it's easy because with humans you can tell them what to do. You know, you can say like, hey, like, don't give my dog direct eye contact and like sit sideways and blah 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 blah, right? Dog socialization is a little bit more difficult because you can't direct the dog that specifically, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like your dog is capable of being social because he's already social from time to time as it is.
Mhm.
Okay. The last thing would be we can't guarantee that he would be like a dog daycare kind of dog or a dog park kind of dog. Okay. Because daycares, they tend to be unstructured.
Yeah.
There tend to be like 30 to 60 dogs in a room,
Mhm.
and it can be overwhelming for a lot of dogs.
Mhm.
Okay. So when it comes to the dog park, there's a lot of variables there. Let's say he goes to the dog park and you're there with him, so you're able to control things to a degree,
Mhm.
and he's actually doing fine, but maybe a dog comes up to him and like tries to mount him, and he goes, yo, I don't like you mounting me, right? He's probably going to try to nip, bite, or growl at them or whatever to tell him, like, hey, back off, don't do that to me, right? Now that dog has created tension. So then, you know, because of that dog trying to mount him and that escalation, your dog may not like dog parks now.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of variables there. I'm not saying that you can't take them to a dog park. I'm just saying if you took them there and it didn't go well, I wouldn't take it to heart. Okay.
Mhm.
What I care about is like your friend's dog, family's dog, stuff like that, your neighbor's dog that you would see on again a regular basis. All
Yeah.
that's realistic. I wouldn't worry about like strange dogs or a daycare type setting because it's not going to make him feel better. He doesn't sit there going like, man, I wish mom would send me to daycare.
No,
Um,
you're right. Yeah, he'd probably actually hate it, to be honest.
yeah, I've had a couple of people in the past month um, that really wanted us to work on their dog being good dog park dogs.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'm like, you're going to the dog park and their dogs were fine.
Mhm.
The dogs only had issues when other dogs that they did not know came up to them to sniff them. And
Mhm.
then that's when things got heated. And I told them, I was like, one, I'm like, your dog's actually doing fine at the dog park. The problem is when the other dogs go to approach them because their dogs weren't coming in and attacking dogs.
Mhm.
Their dogs are coming in minding their business, right? So then I was like, it makes things difficult because obviously if you're going to a dog park and other people with dogs at the dog park, they're looking to socialize, which that owner was too. I was like, but your dog is telling you, look, I'll come here and coexist, but I really don't want dogs approaching me. So therefore, they're not enjoying it, right? So, but yeah, other people's dog, like dogs that you would see on a recurring basis, that's perfectly normal
Mhm.
and more realistic to expect him to kind of warm up and befriend them. Other than that, I wouldn't worry about strangers' dogs, dog parks, or dog daycares.
Okay.
Um, you can try it, and you'd be surprised. I mean, sometimes dogs can be like jerks on the leash, but they're social at daycare. That is a thing. Um, Otherwise, don't feel as if your dog needs it.
Okay.
Okay. Question so far.
No. I mean, to be honest, I know he's not a date. We've taken him to dog parks before, and like you said, he is the type of dog that just tries to go in and mind his own business. And then
Mm.
it's when the other dogs just try to get close to him and sniff him, he does not like that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's like, and obviously you've probably seen examples of this, but like it's just very weird how like when certain people come in, like obviously he barks. I don't care about that, but he gets a really good feel of certain people. Like some people he's just got and jumped on their laps. And then some people he really when they try to like get near him, obviously he's like full on attack mode, which is why I understand the boundaries and everything.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure like there's a good mix of like that healthy relationship, like especially when he has like when I have people come over with their dogs and everything. And I
Sure.
think that's number one. It's just like the close, like you said, like are people we're close with and just making sure all that's fine. Because everyone else I don't really care about, but the people
Sure.
that we have over is definitely the biggest thing.
Yeah, and that's perfectly realistic. And what can happen, not saying that it will, but what could happen is as his social circle grows and he's able to open up to more people, potentially he uh uh like it becomes easier.
Mhm.
Then you start to kind of notice him, at least with people coming over, as you repeat this exercise, or he just warms up to him faster.
Mhm.
Um, so like when we get, it's like with humans, like if social behavior is like a muscle. If you don't work it out, you get bad at it. Okay. So like for a dog, if they don't know how to be social, get over there. They don't know how to be social. Um, what? Sorry, this little guy is.
I know he's just laying down. He looks so innocent though.
Yeah, and then somebody comes in.
Oh,
And there it is. Yeah, it's my little guy.
adorable.
So um, yeah, so they learn to be social as you expose them more, because then like a lot of my clients would they tend to withdraw,
Mhm.
right? When their dogs become territorial or when they're reactive, they don't walk their dogs as much. They walk at awkward times. They don't have people come over because it's stressful. It's anxiety inducing. So then once we get all the stuff in play and they start to have people come over because now they have a means of control, now they're exposing their dog to people, which then helps the dog learn how to be social.
Mhm.
Okay. And in some cases, you know, it's just we can't again make the dog like people, but we can just get the dog to mind their business, right? But we always push for more. And if you know, if we get it, we get it. If we don't, you know, at least we tried.
Mhm.
Um, if you so we have 6, 9, and 12 week or 12 class programs. I would put you for what you're dealing with at a minimum of 6 classes.
Okay.
Okay. 2 classes would be on the heal command, which is going to be the heal is so important because that's what we base everything off of.
Okay.
Okay. Heal is what teaches dogs or helps teach dogs what e-collar is, um, quickly and efficiently. It allows you to apply the e-collar in a very non-confrontational way.
Mhm.
It helps them learn how it turns on and how it turns off. Um, it helps them learn it as a communicator as opposed to a punisher.
Mhm.
People tend to think of e-collar as a punisher. You do something bad, I'm going to shock you type of thing.
Mhm.
And not that that's not an approach, but it's not the first approach. Okay.
Got it.
So 2 classes would be on heal. It also helps you learn how the e-collar works,
Mhm.
because most people within the city walk their dogs at least 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
So it's something that you would practice on a regular basis with your dog. So it just kind of helps you guys progress a little bit more quickly. Uh, by the third class, we could start jumping into the behavioral stuff. Okay.
Okay.
You would kind of pick and choose what you want to work on. If it's you would like to work on dog socialization, you know,
Mhm.
if you have a friend with a dog that he's never met before, and you're like, hey Jesse, could you show me how to like introduce him to my friend's dog? That can be a lesson. Okay. And it's me showing you how to introduce your dog to other dogs correctly and appropriately. Um, and if that goes well, the fourth class can be, you know, addressing the door reactivity or the territorial behavior.
Mhm.
The fifth class could be, because that's addressing the territorial behavior and getting them to be social with people are two separate things.
Okay.
Okay. So then if it's like the door reactivity is class 4 and you want to learn how to socialize them with the people that come over, that
Mhm.
could be class 5. Okay.
Okay.
Which leaves class 6. And class 6 you can think of as a variable. We could either use it to go over behavioral stuff if you want to work with a different dog, if you want to work with a different kind of person coming over to help socialize them. And then it's like you take what you learn and you just repeat those exercises and we see what happens. Um, if you do 9 or 12 class programs, we can take your dog further with the obedience, okay? Because I'm thinking for you, what's important to you is, the dog reactivity and then the socializing with people,
Mhm.
right? Socialization. And the only command that's really necessary to all this is the heel. So that has to happen. Sit, stay down, come, place technically doesn't apply here to a degree. But if you wanted to have more control over him so you could have him off leash at the park, it's actually easier than you think. Um, at minimum, that would be like a 9 class program. Okay. So then we would spend classes 7, 8, or 9 teaching what we call recall, which is the come when called. And that the heel and the recall are what allow you to have your dog off leash. Okay. Because if he gets too far, you can make him return using the e-collar because you have off leash communication. And then, of course, the heel is the prerequisite for everything. So then the sit down, stay in place commands are kind of optional for you.
Mhm.
Um, and then if you did the 12 class program, you would just teach even more obedience. Okay. But to have a dog off leash, all you really need is the heel and the recall.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what does take time is teaching the recall. Okay. Because it requires you, nope, go to your bed, go over there. It requires you to go to the park and practice come and call with your dog.
Okay.
Okay. So heel is the fastest because we walk our dogs 3 times a day, 7 days a week. Recall tends to take the longest because, again, you got to go to the park, put your dog on a long leash, let your dog be a dog, and then call him from time to time until you build it to a point that you feel he would be off leash reliable. Okay. Meaning on or off leash, 10 feet away, 30 feet away. When you call him, he's going to return to you. Okay. So it's easy to teach. It just takes time to practice and rehearse and prove until you get it to the point where you feel like, okay, I can trust my dog off leash now.
Yeah.
Questions?
So these are one-on-one classes, right?
Mhm.
And so do you pay individually for them or do you pay like the 6 week at one time?
You would do that, yeah. So we do programs, okay?
Okay,
Because we can't teach e-collar in a single class.
got it.
Because like I've had people ask and they're like, oh, like I just want one class to do e-collar. I go, no, because you're going to misuse it because you're not getting regular kind of education. Um, so and it's cheaper technically. So we have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. Okay. So at minimum, I'd put you in the 6 class range. The longer your program, the cheaper it is per class. Okay. So like some people ask, like, can I do 6 classes? And if I like it, I'll do another 6 classes. I go, sure, I don't care. But you would pay for another 6 classes at the 6 class rate, as opposed to if you committed up front to 12 classes, you would get a cheaper rate.
Got it.
Does that make
Okay.
sense? Yeah,
And then we have to provide the e-collar ourselves.
correct.
And how much, like, is there a specific brand that you recommend that we use or like one you only train with? And do you know like
Correct.
the price point for that?
Correct. So I use the Doctor brand of e-collar, and Maria would send you this information, but it's DOGTRA. The collar that would be appropriate to his, how much does he weigh again? I'm sorry.
He's 14 pounds.
14 pounds. So you would technically have 2 options.
Mhm.
Okay. There's the Dogtra 280C, uh, which is meant for small dogs. It's got the 127 levels. It's got an LED screen. It's a fully waterproof system.
Mhm.
That's the one I suggest you get. Okay. That one runs about 237-ish with tax.
Okay.
It's an investment, but they last for years. I've had my e-collars for go about 8 to 9 years.
Mhm.
The most common thing that happens is the battery does die because it's a rechargeable lithium battery. And you can either replace it yourself and then purchase it through the company, or you can send it in and the company will replace it for you. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Allergies. You can send them to Doctor and Doctor will repair the collar for you for a small fee. Otherwise, they last a very long time. There is a collar below that collar, I believe runs probably like 197-ish or
Mhm.
207-ish with tax. However, not LED screen. It's so you kind of guess what the number is. It's numbered, but
Mhm.
it's not clear. It's not like the number like the screen. Okay, it is not waterproof. So for 20 to 30 bucks more, you get, the LED screen that can be viewable even at night. You get exact numeric numbers up to 127. Um, and the only difference is the one that's meant that is not waterproof has a smaller collar. Okay, whereas the other one it's not even that much bigger, but it's a little bit bigger. So my suggestion is you invest just a little bit more money and you get the more exact collar. It makes training a lot more easier. If you had a smaller dog, like an 8 to 9 pound dog, I'd say sure, go for it. Unless you want the LED screen, then you're fine. Um, the reason why I only use dog treads because they're very consistent. There's two brands of collars that are very popular. There's dog tread and then there's e-collar technologies. E-collar technologies is also a very good brand. However, I've had inconsistencies with their collar, over the years with training dogs. Dog has always been pretty straightforward and easy to use for the clients.
Okay, perfect. And so obviously these classes are at your facility.
Two locations. We can either go meet at my facility, or if
Mhm.
you'd rather work outside with a lot of distractions,
Yeah.
uh, we also train at Oz Park here in Lincoln Park. Okay.
And when we book these, how do you go about noting that you want to meet at two different like what the park or not?
So Enrique would get in contact with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just handling his console, right? But um, I would let him know, and I'd write down what I suggested for you and stuff, and he would get in contact with you, and then you would tell him like, "Hey, Enrique, I would like to work at Oz Park," and then he would send you his times that he's available. Okay.
Okay.
Now, though, there is one class that needs to be done in home technically. That would be the door reactivity one. Okay. So how this could play out is the first two classes could be done at Oz Park to practice the heel because we need. It's nice because you're outside and there's distractions and dogs and people and scents and strollers and rollerbladers and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and then the dog socialization one can also be done at Oz Park because we would just show up and we would Enrique would show you how to introduce the dogs and all that stuff. Um, the door reactivity one is the one that would most likely need to be done inside. Okay, because you'd have to practice that in your home. Um, if you did that one, so you can do like an in person at the park, and then if you want to do a single in home, we do that as well. But
Mhm.
there's a $50 upcharge because we have two different types of programs. We have in person at my facility or at Oz Park at the same rate, and then we have in person in home. Okay, where we show up and we travel to you, and that one's more expensive now. So for our clients that go like they just have like that one thing that they want to work on inside the home, they'll do an in-person program here at my facility or at the park,
Mhm.
and then they'll just pay the $50 and then have the in-home session, and then everything else can be done outside again.
Got it. Okay.
Um, the socializing with people one, that one could be technically done in my facility.
Mhm.
Only reason why I would suggest my facility is because you don't have to worry about all these external things, you
Yeah.
know, because, let's say you're at the park and there's like so much stuff going on, and then we're trying to work on him and socialization. The other thing would be like, let's say it goes south and he's like not behaving himself, and he's like, you know, jumping or barking at someone, doesn't look good in public. People start looking at you like, what's going on? So, so those can be done like at the facility. Um, other questions?
No, I mean that pretty much summed up everything I had.
Um, no, get over there. Go.
How booked out are you guys though? That's the next question.
So yeah, Enrique has sooner availability than I do that I know of. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so because he now works Saturday and Sundays, he does all his privates.
Mm.
And then Monday through Wednesday, he's here at my facility doing all the board and trains and daycare and trains. So
Okay.
that's why I'm covering for him here because we are swamped with board and trains and daycare and trains. So, but he would be able to better inform you on that
Okay.
in regards to his schedule. Um, and also, it just depends on what you're looking for. Like, if someone wants in home, it's harder for us to do in home because he has to put you in a spot in the day where it's he can see you, get that done, and then go off and do all his Oz Park lessons. You
Mhm.
know, so because before COVID, we used to travel to everybody, or me actually. I used to go home to home all throughout Chicago and the suburbs and stuff. And then COVID happened, and then like nobody wanted people in their home anymore.
Yeah.
So then I chose Oz Park to, it was a nice central location. It's a very big park, plenty of space, lots of distractions. So I was like, we'll train here. And our clients liked it because it's so distracting and they're getting hands-on experience in that environment with their training. Um, and then now it's flipped how we operate because now everybody comes to us. So
Mhm.
then if we got to do an in-home, we have to find either it's like first thing in the morning or it's last thing in the evening. So we can just see a bunch of people in a row and then finally take care of the in-home as opposed to leaving where we're at, going to find parking, having a lesson, leaving, trying to find parking again, and then getting set up at Oz Park.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd be probably more interested in definitely doing the facility or at the park just so he'll have the experience dealing with the distractions and everything more.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty much all the questions and stuff I had.
Okay. In regards to like the pricing and stuff, if you go to our website and you look under like obedience and you click on it, you'll see like two different tables. One that says, at our facility or Oz Park, and one in home.
Mhm.
And then you'll see the 3, 6, 9, and 12 week rates for the programs, and it'll break down the cost and everything. And then you would get your $135 credit, of course, towards your program that you choose. And then when it comes to your e-collar, you can purchase that either through Amazon. If you get it through Amazon, um, we ask that you check your collar, test it, read the book, read the manual, uh, test the remote. It should go up in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 127. If you feel like it's kind of jumping around like 1 to 40 to 30 type of thing, you have a lemon, you want to send that back.
Got
Okay.
it.
Yeah, you want to send that back, get that exchange, and just let us know, like, hey, got my collar, it's not working, it's not going to be back in time for the first lesson, so let's just push back, okay? Because I've had people show up and not test their collar, and then it's not a good collar, and then we're like, well, we can't use the collar because it's not good, it's going to be all over the place, but then now we just use the lesson because we reserved that time for you, and we can't do anything.
Okay.
So, anything else?
Nope. That was pretty much all I had.
So Enrique will get in contact with you, and he will let you know the color that he would suggest for you. He'll give you the two options,
Hmm.
um, and then he'll label one that he recommends, and the other one is if you want.
Okay.
And then he will handle all the booking stuff and the invoicing stuff going forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
If you need anything else, you let us know. Otherwise, it was a pleasure talking to you. Okay, Taylor.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.